smell and teeth.
Hello.
Hello. I'm always terrified because you just come in what a word, and you stick this in front of me and go, hello. It's
Hello.
like, shit.
Again.
what have I done?
Well, you're laughing, so it might be an odd question to ask. Are you having fun?
Wait, you mean as in what I'm doing now out there?
Well, no, with music production. So not even like with, who you might be working with or anything, but music production as a whole. I'm trying to look after the whole, like the wholeness of you, as as a as a business partner, and I'm trying to think. Well, let's care for each other's, insanity.
Are you going to bring Tom in next and give him the same thing? Tom, coming here.
Well, I tried it on the dog first, but just chewed a bone.
Tom, come in here. We're going to sit down. We're going to make sure you hold it. Yeah, I love what I do.
Okay.
In the most, I mean, it all depends who you're working with. And 99.9% of the time, I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
There's that one, that 0.1% now and again where it's a bit, particularly with labels, they can be a bit.
Yeah, I felt that it was important to ask this because I'm always researching, aren't I? And I'm a very observant individual. And I've noticed that when I've been watching some of my YouTube things that people haven't exactly looked as though they were having fun. They've been using the magical modern new musical instrument, the index finger instrument.
We've had this discussion before that the new musical keyboard doesn't want to be a piano, it just wants to be a cursor key up and down, doesn't it? It's like, that's your musical instrument now. Welcome to the club. Just go up and down.
No, it won't be repetitive strain injury to your wrist, it's to your index finger, man.
In 20 years there'll be loads of cases. Omnisphere caused me to have a bad finger.
I'd get your lawyers out now. Lawyer up.
Eric Persing, protect yourself because Omnisphere users, they're going to be coming after you.
I know. I noticed the new thing is to do with timeshares. Next it'll be like that's magical finger.
Eric Persing will be homeless for me. Omnisphere. You put 50,000 presets and now I've got a sore finger.
Yeah. So, but they don't look happy.
Well, you wouldn't be, would you?
Well, they're obviously they call up their sample files, their sample library or their preset library, and they're just surfing and they just look really sad. And I know you tend to look, believe it or not, folks, you most probably don't believe it because you most probably think he's a right miserable sod, but he actually does look happy when he's working.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. I mean, I think we had this conversation the other week, didn't we?
It's all right, we always have the same conversation. We're getting old. When you get dementia like us, you're fine.
But we were having this conversation where it's kind of like, this is the main difference between an amateur and a professional. And a professional enjoys the journey of creation, whereas a amateur just looks at the end result. What am I going to get at the end of this? What am I going to get at the end of it? I mean, if we look at Michelangelo in Sistine Chapel, he wasn't there going, oh, just use the bigger fucking brush. It'll be okay. It'll be okay.
Let's cover the brickwork, no matter what.
Let's just get it finished. Let's just get it finished and go down to the pub so I can tell everyone, have you seen that church I painted last week? It's really good, But this is the thing. A professional enjoys the journey.
Yeah, I mean, if I take us, for example, we often never remember the name of a track. We tend to forget when we did the track, but we'll remember the journey. We'll remember creating a certain sound in a sampler, or we'll remember, doing certain things to say, a certain track in that, how we might have added certain bits or elements to a track.
Yeah, it's because, I mean, the problem we have is that, audio engineering is a very deep and complex subject. And we are in the generation of Cliff Notes.
Yeah.
And hints and tips. Everyone's on YouTube pulling that stupid face going, you need to know these 3 tricks. And they have that dumb look on the fucking face. It's like, I hate it. But, they always look shocked. I've discovered this, have you?
Yeah.
But people want these tips and tricks rather than understand the fundamentals of what we're doing. And the thing is that when you understand the fundamental application of what you're doing, you want to take your time. You know, I mean, I
Yeah.
will sit there and I will create. I don't want to sit there for 40 minutes going through 50,000 Omnisphere presets when I can just call up a synth and I can create a pad in that in 15 minutes and enjoy every second of that creation. And I think this is one of the problems when manufacturers come along, you know, like the Kablamo plugin, Kablamo, you know, I don't want a button that just goes Kablamo.
No.
I want to go in there and I want to sculpt it with a compressor. I want to hear how it changes when I change.
Well, it's the other
attack
week.
and release.
Yeah, the other week I spent probably 4 hours, if not more, and I got the manual out for a piece of gear that I've got, and I read it from the start to the finish. Then I read it again. Then I rewrote it in my own words because it sort of gels for me that way. Then I was playing sounds through it, and then the next time I came to use it later that week, and I used that piece of hardware, the reward was wonderful because I'd discovered certain things with it which I hadn't realised before.
Well, that's the passion, isn't it? That's the passion of what we do. You know, you are passionate to learn more, to understand more, to hear more. And when you don't have that passion, you know, when your only thing is, well, the end result, the end result, the end result, you don't care for the journey.
Well, I was going to say, I think that's what we've been sold. We've been sold, you know, at the end of the day, the end result is you're going to be and it's not pop star anymore, but you're going to be a superstar.
Yeah, superstars now, superstar DJs. That's what it's all about. You'll be a superstar DJ.
DJ, yeah, and you know, you'll have all these followers on social media, and you'll be you know, an influencer, and that's what they're selling. And instead of to us, I mean, you know, to me, it's. That's not important. It's just what I do. It's the music.
Yeah, it's the journey of the understanding.
Yeah.
But to enjoy the journey, you've got to understand the fundamentals of what you're doing. And this is the thing. It's like when you go to school, you learn the alphabet. Yeah, and you learn the alphabet and you learn to pronounce A, B. Yeah. So when you look at a word, you can go B, A, and you can read the word that way. They don't go in and say, the average person knows 20,000 words. Here's 20,000 words, fuck off and learn them and you're okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't.
And it's the same thing with engineering. If you understand the fundamentals of what you're doing, then you can begin to glue them together like the alphabet. And I think this is the thing with music.
Yeah.
People get into this with no idea of what music theory is and think that understanding music theory is going to get in the way of their creativity. And it's like, but music theory is a language. You are trying to speak a language. If you're not willing to understand that language, how can you possibly communicate with somebody?
No, because all you're doing, it's like, I mean, I hold my hands up, folks, and I apologise, but I am dreadful at foreign languages. And I get these little apps, and it's like trying to glue strange things together, and you do exactly the same. People, you know, sample surf, and they're gluing random kicks with
random ideas.
And it's all this randomness, and then they're calling it creativity where they've not. It's like me when I go abroad. I just grab random words and I put them together, and really it's wrong.
Well, it's a very raw form of communication that they can, you know, the person you're communicating with can understand you, but they also know inherently that you don't understand what you try to communicate.
Yeah.
And they're accepting of that, but people aren't that accepting with music. No. If they can't understand the language you've put into your music, then they're going to be, this don't make any fucking sense. It's a lot of shit.
Yeah. And that's why then you don't sell many.
This is what people don't understand. This is what producers are failing to understand, that their audience aren't stupid.
No.
And even though they may not understand music theory, they have listened to music for 20, 30, 40 years. They know how it works. They understand the messages that it gives them. And if you don't understand this message you're trying to produce and hand to them, you're not going to communicate efficiently. And that's why you're not selling anything.
Yeah.
You know, so it is really important. If you want to do this, if you're just doing it for a hobby, glue as many samples as you want together. Get GarageBand and glue everything together and have fun. Have as much fun as you can. But if you're looking at this from a professional aspect of, I want to be a professional in this, I want to be a superstar DJ, that sort of thing, then you really have to say, I'm going to learn this inside out, because if I can't speak the language, I can't communicate that language.
I'd even and I personally would go as far as saying, even if you're doing it as a hobby, it's very rewarding. It's fun. It's the it is having that journey. And I always liken it as, it's a little bit like, well, let's book a road trip, but let's only think about getting back to the airport. And that's the last thing that you want to do.
Yes,
You want to enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
So even if you're doing it for fun as a hobby and you're not doing it professionally, you're not looking to make millions, you're not looking to be a superstar, there is nothing more rewarding than knowing how to do something inside out, is there?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you've just got to, it's like when I see friends and then they're sat there and they're like surfing. I get bored within about 30 seconds. Like, just move out of the fucking way. I'll do it.
Yeah.
You want this sound? Just let me fucking create it. And when you know how to create it, you have fun doing that. You listen so much into the DNA of the sound that you're excited as you build it. And you're like, oh, that's not quite right. I want to perfect it.
And you've just touched on something really interesting there when you said, like, if you're working with somebody else, a friend or just another, sort of person you've met, you want to collaborate. There's no fun in both sitting there sample surfing. You sit there and create together. That's where the fun, and it's like the old-fashioned band would sit and jam.
Well, this is one of the things, you see. What you're going to do in this industry is you're going to reach a certain point where you get your releases. You've glued samples together or whatever. You've got a few releases on Bumblefuck Nowhere's label. So and you made 16 pence, and somebody comes along and says, right, I want to work with you. Yeah. And they go, oh, yeah, let's work together. And, you both sit there and you don't know what a fucking chord is. So you pull out your Unison MIDI chord pack. You Unison, and you kind of glue them together going, this is in A, isn't it? What's the guy next to you going to think? He's going to think, who's this fucking dickhead? He can't even write a chord. And they've got to sit there and suffer you gluing these chords together from the Unison MIDI chord pack. It's a lot of bollocks.
But, you're just giving them advertising.
Send him a bill. They've just done one with a dragon on it. It does bass lines. It's all for fuck's sake. Imagine that you're sat with this professional artist and you sat there. Can you imagine like Calvin Harris or someone? Just a minute, I'll get you a bass line. I'm trying to get this fucking dragon. They'd be like, who the fuck? But it is. You've got to understand what you're doing, because if you understand, you not only enjoy the journey, but people next to you enjoy it. You have a passion for it. You're like, oh, feel this chord,
and people
this
want
feeling.
to work with you. People want to collaborate with you when you have, because that gives you such a passion.
Yeah.
Then other people say, oh, you can. They sense it off you. They then get a vibe off you, and it pushes them. And I think as well, are we? Are we being stifled by all these presets and all this sampling? And that's what's stifling our creativity?
Oh, it is, because you got to think. The way I see this, is you have a lump of clay, and I give you the tools, and I would sit there and I'd carve something. Yeah, it might be a piece of shit, but I've carved it out. I've carved it out. But we're getting people today who are getting a lump of clay, buying ready-made molds, clamping the clay together and popping it out and going, there's my track, bang, there's my next one, bang, there's my next one. And this isn't the approach. You're going to get pissed off with that. You're going to get bored with it. Because, like you say, there's nothing interesting about surfing up and down with cursor keys. That's not an interesting way to write a piece of music. And that's not composition. That's collage.
Yeah.
And they sit there and go, yeah, I'm a producer and a musician. It's like, no, you're not. You're just gluing things together that other people have made.
And as well, when you think about, say, specifically EDM, a lot of it was about pushing an envelope, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And creating new sounds. And if you're only using samples and set presets, how are you pushing that envelope?
Well, this is it.
You're being...
It's a dictated direction by developers.
Commercialization.
It is. You're being directed by manufacturers and developers.
Yeah.
When we look at the TB303, it was designed originally to be a bass accompaniment for a pub musician, a gigging musician. And it sounded nothing like a bass guitar. It was all farty, wobbly, weird, squelchy noises, and everyone wanted this piece of fucking shit. So everybody sold them off really cheap. Dance musicians had no money.
Yeah.
Well, they weren't even dance musicians then. They were just people who wanted to play, had no money, grabbed them, learnt about them, played them, learnt them inside out, and began to create music with it. The birth of dance music. Well, it wasn't quite the birth, but it was a contribution aspect of it. You know, and the same with the TR-808 and the TR-909. These are instruments that were not designed specifically to do with what they were used for.
No.
And that's how new genres came about. Look at sampling and drum and bass. And, do you know, this is it. We're supposed to take technology and warp it to what we want, not take a developer's idea and go, this is a deep house preset pack. Oh, I'll only use this then because that's deep house. You know, and I'll go through my 128 presets and that's it.
Yeah.
We're losing that sense of artistry and experimentation because we don't want to sit and take our time. It's all about the end result. You know, when you're an artist, you take your time, you experiment, you play with ideas, you throw things around. That's an artist, that's a producer. When you're just gluing samples together to reach this end result, so you can go down to your pub at the end and go, I just wrote a major track, I'm awesome. Do you know what I mean? That's not artistry. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing that.
No, because, I mean, some people, that's what they want to do. That's, you know, to them, that is, you know, like getting back to the airport is their main sort of
objective. Yeah, and that's absolutely fine. But
I think if people are, you know, that when people talk about doing music production, I think in their hearts, they really want to, they want to explore creativity. They want to push boundaries. And I think what I'm trying to say is, you know, don't let, you know, all these restrictive things
get in your way.
Yeah, get in your way. Stop you from having fun. You know, don't spend an evening sorting out your samples.
I think what it comes down to is you've got to seriously ask yourself, are you having fun?
Well, this is it. This is why I sat you down and said
And
that.
if you sat there and you're just surfing samples, you are not having fun.
No.
Do you know what I mean? That's not fun. And imagine that you're going to do that for the next 40 years. You're going to sit there and serve samples for the next 40 years. How do you feel about that? You know, how do you feel if all I gave you wasn't a musical keyboard, it's just our new invention, which is just a cursor key of up and down, and for the next 40 years, that is all you can do? Do you consider that fun? Do you consider that something that you would want to do for the rest of your life?
Is it rewarding? Is it giving you that, say, even if it's an escapism from what you normally do as your job, which is fine, and you know.
For me, up and down, it's data input. It's not actually writing music, it's just data input, isn't it? And it's like nobody, I can't imagine anybody enjoys that. Maybe some do. I don't know. Ask Gerald, our accountant.
Yeah, he seems very happy. He smiles.
Well, maybe he enjoys it. Maybe he'd be a good producer then, wouldn't he? Just give him a few sample banks and go, there you go. But
you could let him have Ableton as well.
It's about the passion. It's about the passion for what we do comes from the artistry. And if you're just gluing samples together, you're not really experimenting with artistry. You're just gluing other people's ideas together to get an end result. And if that's all you want to do, that's fine. But if you really want to make it in this industry, that's not really the way you're going to get there.
And I think if you know, whether it's about making it or whether it's just about actually being rewarded, you know, you want to sit at your computer for 2 hours on an evening when you've been at work all day and you want to feel rewarded, then, you know, I mean, I know I get a lot of people who sigh at me when I say, well, you know, learn your plugin inside out. And like I said to you, I spent all those hours. The reward for me the next day was awesome. It was crazy in a way. It was very rewarding.
The reward of knowledge.
Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure you were happy. So that was really the aim of the conversation today.
I'll go and get Tom, and now you can ask him if he's happy too, because he don't look happy.
I'm just being a caring person.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, I think as well, I'm just trying to say to people, you know, don't sort of limit your ability by being sold some pre-directed things.
Make sure you enjoy what you do.
Yeah.
And if you don't enjoy learning about this and the audio engineering aspect of it, then maybe it's not quite the thing that you want to do as a profession. Because as a profession, you have to understand it.
Oh, as a profession, you've definitely got to. Thank you for your time. You can go and enjoy the rest of the day now.
Yeah, I'll go and get Tom now. You can bring him and ask if he's fucking happy, because he don't look it.
Better not record that one.
It's Mo and Tiff.